Two Queers and a Truck. And I'm Billy James Gunn, and my sidekick, Christian Cano, partner with Gunn, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jim's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon. Good morning, everybody. It is Two Queers in a Truck time, and it's April. April 1st to be exact. If you're seeing this live, and we've had a busy early spring and a lot going on. So this may or may not drop on April 1st. There's no pressure. I'm not putting any pressure on my producer.
We'll see if it's an April Fool's. We'll see if it's an April Fool's or not. So
this will be even funnier. If it comes out on April 8th, so be it.
Exactly.
But honestly, our show's timeless, so it doesn't really matter when this drops.
That's true.
And I'm gonna leave it at that. So we've had a very, very busy spring, and so the stuff happens. And life goes on. If that's the worst thing that happens, so be it. But anyway, we're going to jump into the first topic, which is Delta announced, with all this craziness with the ICE Proud Girls working in lieu of TSA because Republicans can't get their shit together and pass a spending bill for the TSA. They've assigned the ICE Nazis to work in the airports, even though they're not really trained to do their own jobs, but now they're allowed to just dump the ICE Nazis wherever they want to. And the chaos is really making the airports even worse. And Delta decided to revoke the travel perks for Congress recently. And I hope all the airlines do this is first of all, Congress doesn't need travel perks. Let me start there. These people are paid handsomely for what they do. They get great retirement benefits. They can earn their retirement after only a few years in Congress. Their life is about perks. They have too many perks. They have too many access to stock trading. Congress needs to be reined in. First of all, we need term limits for Congress. But they don't need to be having bribes or perks given by the airlines. Like, we need to get some of this treatment of some of these people in government treated less like royalty and more like employees of the American people. And this is our problem, is that there is too much privilege in that class of people. There is too much greasing the palms, so to speak, in grift and grafting in fucking politics. And it's a minor thing, but it's kind of a major thing, is why aren't regular American people getting these perks? Why reserve these for unearned privilege of getting the privilege to serve? Because when you're serving for your country, it's a privilege. Especially in Congress, like, it's something that your citizens, your neighbors said, we believe in you and we're sending you to DC. You're not our overlords. And I think this country, it's about time that we overthrow our overlords. For democracy to be healthy, these royals in DC need to be turned over pretty often. Like in term limits. We don't need any more 30, 40, 50 years. Bernie Sanders has been in Congress for 40 or 50 years. There's so many Republicans that have been in Congress. And has it done us any good? And both parties do it. We have institutionalized permanent politicians. And political jobs ought to be you serve for a while, you go away. Here in West Hollywood, for example, we only keep a mayor 1 year. We rotate a mayor we got a rotating mayorship off our city council. So every January, we get a new mayor. And what it does is it doesn't concentrate power into one person or one office. And it allows other people to step up and lead. And it creates a fairer, smoother system. Presidents, to me, being in for 2 terms is too long. I think they need 1 term, about 5 years, and that's it. We don't need to spend so much money on politics. We don't need anybody in power. We don't need Supreme Court justices in there for 50 fucking years either. 6 or 7 years is plenty. And then you're gone. No federal judge needs to be in life. These lifetime appointments are dangerous. And they lead to multi-generational traumas. And we keep repeating the same mistakes. Like this war in Iran, for example. Smacks of the 9/11 wars of prophets, but being led and executed by a dumber president than George W. Bush. Like if George W. Bush and Ronald Reagan had a butt baby, it would be Donald Trump. And because he's a big orange steaming pile of shit. He's the dumbest motherfucker that's ever been a president of probably any country in the world. And especially the United States. He's a blathering idiot and windbag. It's just he's a national embarrassment on so many different levels, and it tells you how many stupid people live in this country, and how many stupid people didn't vote. All the Democrats that didn't vote in this last election, they're stupid. That's one of the reasons this fat mouth farting turd is in fucking the White House again. Good news in the state race in Florida, a Democrat, in fact, I'm pulling up her name right now.
I think I was trying to follow that. I think I know what you're referring to.
Special election for State House District 87. Emily Gregory beat John Maples. 51.1% to 48.9%.
Oh, wow.
In a typically South Florida, very red district that also includes Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago. Oh, how funny.
Trump's own home district where the Florida White House is at. The sleazy golf resort motel.
Wow.
Is now, as far as the state of Florida is concerned, a blue district.
Wow, that's incredible.
And if you can't taste the irony in that, 1, that it's a woman, and 2, that it is Donnie Dempster's home district in Florida is just flipping delicious. There's so much to dive in there, at a time when Congress is trying to strip women of voting rights as fast as they stripped abortion and reproductive rights from women in the last 4 years.
So Gersemi, it says that that Gregory person, she's a business owner and military spouse. She was the first time running for office. She defeated a former city council member of a nearby city called Lake Shores, who received Trump's complete and total endorsement in January. That's a kiss of death now.
literally the kiss of death. And this is why they're scared. This is why they're trying to strip 21 million women from the voting rolls. Is they are petrified of progressive and liberal women, and especially white and black women, because they hopefully will come to their senses and stop voting Republican. And the Democrat women, the registered, will get out and vote. I don't know what percentage of the 18 million people were women that didn't vote in 2024, that did vote in 2020. But I'm afraid it probably is a high percentage because the majority of Democrat voters are women. Mm-hmm. Women have failed their own cause, and they've been their own worst enemy. Just like a lot of gays are their own worst enemy. Women have voted, or you basically, when you sit out of an election, you're voting for somebody. If you typically vote Democrat, you're voting for the Republican. Your silence is consent in that situation. You're consenting that you won't make the difference, that you won't put. And this has happened twice with two women candidates. And I like to see the fact that it's a woman that is now the House representative there for the state Congress in Florida in the rapist Kit Diddler's home district. There's not, that is 2,000 tons of irony that happened, and it's poetic. I just wish we would see more of it. I just wish we would see, I hope to see this on steroids come this fall.
Exactly. And to show you how much Trump is hated in that district, Gersemi, it says that now that Mar-a-Lago is represented by Democrats in the House, the Senate, and the U.S. House. 3 Democrats have flipped Mar-a-Lago area. It's just, that's cool. That's just beautiful. Yeah, what a wonderful way to start off spring.
Yeah, I hope that this is, you hope that this is the fire that keeps the fire going. You hope that this is, and I say it hedging what I'm saying because there was an article the other day, and I can't quote it word for word, but it was an article about why Democrats hate winning. And we've talked about this before, where basically we've shot ourselves in the foot so many times in recent history, like the last 30 years. And we'll talk about that more when we come back after these important commercial messages. Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in the Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye, boo. Happy Pride.
Hi, this is Urance Pascual Mateo. I am back. Spedica is back in 2026, and yes, my hiatus was sad, and it was caused by a bunch of, I don't know, butthurt losers. But I'm not going to say that. Don't worry, I'm here. I'm going to be annoying. I'm going to say fuck fascism, and I'm going to stand up against this shit. So please, like, subscribe, enjoy my show, and let's fight against the bullshit that we continue to live with.
Howdy y'all, Christian Cano here at the terrific new theater in Birmingham, Alabama.
My name is Tamara DeBolt. I'm the executive director of Terrific New Theater, the theater in which this glorious world premiere is taking place.
So you're not a cast member.
I am not.
And I'm Del Shores, and I'm not a cast member. I wrote the recipe box, and I directed it. Yes, and
I'm Emerson Collins, and I play Rick Sprague, the depressive math professor who gets left by his husband and stuck with his mother-in-law.
I am the mother-in-law he is stuck with. My name is Carrie Gisler Oliver, and I play Luwanda Bayless, and she's a fun little character. I enjoy her very much.
Well, wonderful. Thank you all for taking time to talk to us. What initially drew you
And for me, I sort of love this idea of a man who wants to do okay in life, but has a significant childhood trauma that sort of overwhelms him into adulthood, and what that does to the relationships with the other characters and people in his life. And I find that really fascinating. It's we're all broken for various different reasons, and the particular things that he is stuck in that he can't get past, and how it impacts his relationships, and what it means to work through that and build a new relationship and sort of rediscover yourself was a really exciting sort of cliff to jump off of into this really great play.
Hey y'all, thanks for listening to Two Queers in a Truck. And we do broadcast on YouTube and Facebook in a video version. And we're also on all the audio platforms out there. So your favorite way to listen to your podcast. We've been doing this for a couple years, and we appreciate y'all listening. We know you have a ton of choices, even though we may be the best choice. We always appreciate our listeners, and we'll try to bring you quality in the future. Thanks for listening. As always, Christian and Jenny, we're out. Thank y'all. But we've talked about this before, Democrats being their own worst enemy, just like the gays have been their own worst enemy. Women have been their own worst enemy many times. But I really feel like, and the article had a lot of truth to it, like saying the Democrats hate, because I think we do hate winning. I don't think we like being perceived as winners, because it's, I don't know, it's something that only conservatives like doing, or I don't know what it is, but there is some truth to that. And I don't know if Democrats in general will admit that, but for some reason, I don't know if it's a fear, or we don't want to be compared to a Reagan or a Trump, or I don't know what it is. Because I see people bad-mouthing Governor Newsom, for example. Oh, we don't want him to be president. Okay, if not him, who? And they poo-poo him over the stupidest things. And I know he's not been perfect. But if we have to have a perfect candidate, we're fucked. And we're fucked not in a good way. We're going to have a second term of fucking President Vance. Swallow that down for a second. President Vance and whoever they handpicked to be his vice president Oof. Just let that soak in and marinate in everybody's brain for a second. Oof. Because if we keep doing that, that's what's going to happen. We didn't like Biden because he was too fucking old. Okay. So at the last minute, we nominate the vice president. Oh, well, I don't like her stance on Gaza. You don't even know what her stance on Gaza is. And how's Gaza doing under Trump right now? How's that working out for them? How about Iran? How many other Venezuela? like not voting for Harris because she has not the perfect answer on Gaza, because nobody does. Nobody has the perfect answer for Palestine because we don't have the guts to say what needs to be done. And our Congress keeps voting in spending for Israel. There's a whole lot of litany of issues that we've allowed Israel and paid for their military. If we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. But to just not vote the best solution in its totality, and to do that same thing, and I already see a pattern happening with Newsom, which dovetails into the third topic, which is, why do women have to jump through more hoops than men? The SAVE Act is going to force predominantly women and even trans women to jump through more hoops to vote. It's a misogynist law, and it is designed to, at the last minute, fix a non-existent mythological problem and disenfranchise 21 million Democrat women. And it's just pure and simple. It is to take as many women out of play this fall, because two things are going to happen. And you just watch it. If this passes and survives the courts and becomes law, red states are going to throw women off the voter rolls that are Democrats like crazy. They've built in so many loopholes in how attorney generals can just delete people off the voter rolls. And you just watch. You just watch. Why do you think Ken Paxton wanted the names of all the people that have transitioned in this country or sought trans health? What do you think he needed those for? Don't think that those databases won't get purged. Every trans woman will probably get purged off. And with the SAVE Act, we probably won't be able to vote. Won't be a lot of votes. But they're using the same misogynistic approach, trying to make us, that we've already legally registered and we're all citizens, but literally make us go through extra hoops that men typically don't have to deal with. How many men change their name after they get married? I mean, the percentage is astronomically low. Typically, men's name on their driver's license and IDs is the same as on their birth certificate, most of the time. Except for maybe trans men, which is also a bonus for them. It's another trans person down the drain. But why do trans women have to jump through so many hoops and so many different things? Why do we have to prove that we're not going to dominate women's sports when a trans woman's never dominated women's sports? Why does suspected trans women have to have genitalia inspections? Who's right ahead that would ask little girls in Kansas to inspect their genitals in case they're a suspected trans girl? But that is a law in Kansas that got passed a year or two ago. The genitalia inspection law. They called it something else, but that's what it really is. It authorized MAGAs in Kansas schools to inspect little girls' genitalia, kids' genitalia. They could do it with boys too.
How can they not see that if this had been done by Democrats, let's say in California, all right? Let's just say California. Let's say California passed that law. Okay. Wouldn't MAGA and Christian nationalists and Moms for Liberty say this was a pedophile thing?
Yeah, because it is a pedophile thing.
Well, exactly. So how can they not say that about that?
Because they're hypocrites.
Exactly.
But the easiest answer, the quickest answer, most Christians, all conservatives, are hypocrites. They're hypocrites. They're problematic. And look at who their grandpapa is. The Mad King himself. They knew he was a piece of shit when they nominated him in 2016. Republicans keep dirt on this. They knew Dumpster Donnie had an Epstein connection. They knew about the pedophile billionaire island, the Trump and Epstein island. They knew about all this. They knew about the Billy Bush tape. They didn't care. These holier-than-thou national Christian evangelists supported him with billions of dollars, supported him with their endorsements. Like the worst of the worst evangelicals that even George W. Bush wouldn't even solicit supported Trump. Well, that and George W. Bush got all that defense contractor money to run for office, so, you know, he had daddy's connections. But anyway, let's call it what it is instead of stepping around it. These people are the worst of the worst. Conservatives have always been worse of the worst. They looked the other way during the HIV crisis. They didn't even just look the other way. They kept the United States from bringing in vetted medications overseas to make sure as many gays died as possible. Let's be real. Let's stop enabling and soft peddling the crimes of against humanity, the conservatives, Republicans, MAGAs, Tea Party douchebags, and all the other assholes have wrought on this country, including libertarians. Look at the gun shootings. That's the libertarians and Republicans' fault. All those douchebags that talked about being patriots and come to defend people's free speech, we've seen none of that in 2025 and 2026. We've seen ICE arrest citizens and shoot and execute citizens in the street. And not one MAGA libertarian douchebag has stepped up to defend citizens. Period. End of story. In fact, they're justifying citizens being executed by ICE Nazis. So let's be real about this. Let's have real conversations about where we are in America and where we've been and how many atrocities we've ignored and how many are we going to keep ignoring without American people acting. There is at some point, you got to say enough is enough. And I'm hoping that when Democrats run right and come correct, like here in South Florida, what we talked about earlier with a woman taking a MAGA out of that seat. And we'll talk about that more right after these messages. Hey y'all, this is Jetty with Two Queers in a Truck and Christians along with me. And we're just having fun, and we're looking forward to the 2025 season and super excited. We have some neat things going on in our whole family of shows, including Coffee and Pan Dulce, and many new shows that are brewing. Get it. And we are excited for 2025. And all the chicanery and other things that comes with it. So happy New Year, and we'll see you on the flip side. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Bye, boo.
Bye, boo. Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching the Two Queers in the Truck Show 2025 edition. We have a new special show that is coming on as part of the Cannis Media family of shows, and it's the Tony Foreman Show. And they're going to talk about a little bit different things than we typically talk about on the coffee show or the queer show that we often reference. And it's going to be a little bit more of a serious show, a little bit more of talking about very specific issues amongst Latin, Latino men and Hispanic men. Tony Foreman is the Afro-Latino. And then I'm assuming that Christian's going to be on the show as well, which is a Latino male, a Tejano. And they're going to talk about things that are probably important to their generations, to what's going on in pop culture and where they fit in the world. And I guess that's always the existential question. Why am I here? But anyway, if you want to know why you're here and you whether you fit in that demographic or not, it should be interesting. I know Tony and Christian will keep it light and funny, and probably a little bit of silliness in there too, to boot. I'm looking forward to listening to it myself and not having to actually produce a show all the time. But please tune in at 10 o'clock on Wednesday mornings when that show drops, and enjoy more shows from the Cannis Media family in 2025. Thank y'all. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying Esperanza K with Urente, and I apologize for stumbling over the name. It's the first time that I've talked about the show, and I'm excited to talk about it as we are offering, and you will see on our media pages, we're adding a lot of new shows that have nothing to do with me. But I'm here to talk about it because I'm kind of the company's spokesperson, I guess, or mascot, depending on the day. But anyway, it's a new, exciting, hip new show. I don't know if the kids use the word hip, but I do because I'm old. And anyway, it's getting the Latin Hispanic perspective, but from somebody much younger, from a Gen Z participant that is a young activist in our community. And Urente's been on many of our shows in the Two Queers and Coffee family, and we look forward to hearing his opinions and thoughts. And I find this show probably one of the most interesting new shows, so check it out. It's available on our family of networks, and just like Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, as normal, all the same bat channels and all the same bat times. Come find us on Wednesday. There's something to watch every week. Anyway, thanks for listening as always, and we'll see you next week. And we are back. Which brings me to my next topic. We need to outlaw billionaires and churches in this country. Period. You can worship however you want to. You can go meet in a field somewhere. But we don't need organizations like churches. They definitely don't need to be nonprofits. They're businesses. They're social clubs. And they're definitely political. The majority of churches are progressive, and the few progressive ones there are, and most of them are conservative claptraps with pedophile pastors and priests and all this bullshit. But if we want a healthy democracy, organized religion does not need to have so much protection. Freedom of faith, that's fine. But you can't use your faith to hurt other people. And that's what has been allowed to be done. And even in Charlotte, North Carolina, when we passed the non-discrimination, churches were exempted from that rule, which I thought was a crock of shit. The most discrimination probably happens in churches. They're the ones that need the least amount of protection. You should be able to sue a church if they discriminate against it. if you want to operate as a nonprofit, you're not supposed to be political anyway. It's the antithesis of the hypothetical teachings of Christ that typically don't get really practiced in churches. Do as we say, not as Christ did. That's a church thing. Churches need to go. They definitely don't need to be in a special class. They don't need to be protected. They need to play by the same rules as any other business or social club. And then we need to take a hard look at the role they play in politics and weaponizing people's deluded beliefs. And I think there's a problem with the church supporting a political candidate to the point to where you're taking, you're basically taking the promise of eternal salvation and convincing people that if you don't support the candidate, you're going to hell. Because the other candidate supports fags and trannies and abortion and everything else. That's what the Catholic Church does. That's what many churches do. Mormon Church with their millions of members. Catholic Church with probably 80 million Americans. It's too much sway. It's too much influence on a belief system, not facts, not anything else. And it's scary. It creates this current undercurrent of Nazism and fascism. Fascism is strong in the Christian church. Roman Catholics supported Hitler. The Pope at the time funded Nazi Germany and Mussolini. Them's are the facts. And solicited donations from American Catholics. Also facts. And using these religious, basically blackmail and extortion to sway people to do stupid things like not wear masks or take vaccines. We saw it both with this RFK nut job. And now we've got measles. We brought measles back. We're making measles great again. Like, do you know anybody that's had smallpox? Why? Vaccines. You know? And we need to outlaw billionaires. We don't need anybody with that much sway over our economy. Pure and simple. Billionaires are the problem. And because it's our money. We make the billionaires. Elon Musk didn't sell all those products himself. He didn't make all those products himself. He shouldn't be the primary beneficiary of those companies. Jeff Bezos the same way. Nobody needs to be that wealthy. It's too dangerous. It's unhealthy for our country. They definitely don't need to have that much influence over elections. Nobody should be able to donate $250 million to a candidate like Elon Musk did with Trump. Shouldn't happen. And then the next year is literally inside the government's computer downloading everybody's social security information and no telling what else. There's no telling that Elon Musk probably covered up all the crimes he's committed with his government programs. Literally had hackers in there fucking scooping out millions of lines of information about Americans. Think about that for a second. That's what that $250 million bought him. That's pretty cheap. Now Elon Musk has in his possession way too much data about Americans. A fucking foreign-born South African Nazi, apartheid Nazi. That's what $250 million buys her, which is a drop in the well for that guy. He makes more in a day than what he spent on Trump's campaign. Let that soak in. But this guy's almost a trillionaire. He'll be a trillionaire. He's in the race with a lot of other ultra wealthy billionaires to be the first American trillionaire. Think about that. On the backs of our economy. Billionaires and high wealth individuals own more of this country than the other 350 million Americans. That's scary. That's a lot of concentration of power. In the world's largest economy, there is a short list of a few hundred people that control everything. They own over 62% of total assets of this country. They control all the big companies, all the big media companies, almost all the big news outlets. It's just about checkmate time. We have to start limiting power. And I'm not talking about lining up billionaires and shooting them. That's something a Republican MAGA would say. I'm just talking about capping it. Putting the rest of their money into a sovereign fund for all of Americans. That's where it should go, to the House. It should go to the kitty. And all Americans should be able to draw off that. Especially with Bezos trying to basically buy up companies and have robots and AI run all the companies instead of human beings. We need to find a balance. For every job he eliminates, he should have to put money into a trust fund every year. There's got to be something done. There's got to be a fucking symmetry to all this. There has to be a balance of power. And it can't be all on a less than 1%. MAGAs are worried about the wrong 1%, which is the trans community. They shouldn't be worried about us. We have no power at all. I mean, pretty soon, there'll be only about 8 or 10 states we can even live in anyway. Mass migration to solidly blue states. Trans people, it's in the hundreds of thousands refugees, including myself. I left a very purple to red state to come to a very solidly blue state for a reason. You can see the handwriting on the wall. And with no relief in sight, and ICE Nazis roaming the country, you have to make decisions. And elections have consequences. And it's one of those things that we're letting too many of the consequences go by. Now, the good news is there's a big blue wave coming. So much so that Congress, Republicans, and Donnie Dumpster are desperate to keep women from voting because they're petrified. They're getting their ass kicked. Even in Mar-a-Lago's backyard, they're getting their ass kicked. There used to be safe home courts. There's districts all around the country that were solidly Republican plus 20 that are now being won by Democrats in special elections. They're scared. They're scared of the James Telricos. They're petrified of people like him who both can quote the Bible, have lived like Christ, and are progressives. They're scared of a guy like that. He walks the walk and talks the talk. Well, that's all we have for this week's edition of Two Queers in a Truck. And we'll dance on out, and we'll see you next week. Bye, y'all. Bye, boo.
Bye, y'all. Bye, boo.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching Two Queers in a Truck. And I hope y'all are enjoying the spring season. I know it's been exceptionally warm here in California. Probably a little too warm. But anyway, be safe out there in the spring crazy season, and we're going to enjoy April as always. And we're here, we're queer, and we're having a great year. So thanks for listening and watching as always, and we'll see you next week. Bye, y'all. Bye, buddy.
Bye, y'all.
Hi, everybody. This is Yorense from the Esperacast Show over here. All I'm here is doing a little quick PSA. Use this summer to do volunteer work. Go to your nearest YMCA. Go to your nearest homeless shelter. Go to whatever community services or programs that you can help out and volunteer. Because right now, we have a bunch of fascist pieces of shit trying to rip apart our country and rip apart the people, our communities, by spreading hate and bigotry. The best way to combat it is, one, working in your community and standing strong to show that you are strong and you're here to help out others. Two, combat misinformation. If you hear bullshit, first research and make sure if it's true or not. If it is not true, call it out. If it is true, get the facts. Be knowledgeable of it because it might come out later. So always stand against that. And three, fuck fascists. Stand against them. Make them feel uncomfortable. There is too many people out there feeling like they can say the hard R or say slurs or be violent. Make them understand that a lot of people died to make sure this hatred and bigotry does not exist. All our civil rights workers, all the people who stormed Normandy, everybody who fought against intolerance and hatred, they died and worked their asses off to stop this. So follow in their footsteps and stop this madness. This is Yorense again from Esperacast, and all I can say is be there for your community and stand up for what's right. Fuck fascism and have a wonderful day.